Carolyn here to share another message. This time I'm going to tell you about my over 2.5 day silent retreat. And the reason I'm going to share this with you is I feel like it's something everybody should keep in the back of their mind as a potential down the road as you go through your awakening journey. So first of all, stick with me on this because I'm going to also share some of my video from there. We'll see how that comes out. So I took a few clips for you so you can kind of see what it was like. As far as the abbey that I went to, which is the Trappist Monastery in Peosta, Iowa. I'm an Iowan, and they have an 1800s monastery there, and it was magical. So first of all, welcome to everybody who's new. I'm Carolyn. I'm a distance energy healer, channel, and a spiritual awakening mentor, and I offer these messages for your assistance on your awakening journey. So today I'm going to talk about some of the things that I encountered while I was at the 2.5 day retreat. You might kind of think that there's no way that you could get a lot out of 2.5 days when I'm only driving an hour and a half away from home. Oh no, it was magical. And I think the thing to remember too is there are places on earth that, regardless of what they surround and where they are located, have a magical energetic quality about them because of the things that have taken place there and the people that have come there. So you can be in the middle of, the greatest difficulty and find an area of supreme peace and spirituality. And, it's interesting to sit and think in Iowa that we have this amazing place, the Trappist Monastery. They actually came over from Ireland after a lot of oppression and also famine from the potato famine, and were dealt some heavy blows and ended up coming here in the 1800s and have since really continued on in quite an amazing way in the community. And so anyway, I'm not here to promote New Mellery Abbey. I am here to offer it to you, though, as well as for you to consider going on a personal retreat, a silent retreat for yourself at one of the monasteries that might be near you. Now, I'm in the United States, obviously. I don't know the existence of monasteries, elsewhere outside of where I am, but I do know there are monasteries, and many of them offer guest houses for you to go and stay at a minimal cost. Mine was $60 a night for your 3 meals a day, in addition to your room. I was also offered the grounds to walk on, which I'll show you here later. But I think one of the most powerful things when I went there, it was as though my higher self literally just took over. And because I had been all wrapped up in my head for months with the things that I've been working on my own, with the work that I do, I was feeling very, I don't want to say stuck, but I was not doing my own practices like I needed to. And I was feeling that something needed to shift and change. Well, you know how your higher self is. They're going to present opportunities to you. Well, I had originally planned to be in Sedona to hike for 6 days. I had made these plans back in September, and I knew we were going to go through a tough winter. I was just sure of it. Well, we didn't have a tough winter, and I wasn't itching to go to Sedona again. I'd just been there 2 years ago, even though it's a magical place in and of itself, obviously. But something was calling me to something very different. So I canceled those plans. And then within the last 2 weeks, for whatever reason, this abbey showed up in my awareness. Now, I'd been there before, just connecting in on a day trip to go see their gift shop and being amazed at the architecture. Because, again, I'm a big architecture freak. I think I've mentioned this before. And so I always appreciated that. But somehow it came into my awareness that this was the place I was going to go. Now, as the time got closer to me actually going, I was super anxious. I was trying to figure out why I was going. I was trying to figure out what it was I was supposed to learn, do. I knew it was kind of a big deal that I was going, but the human me was trying to figure it out. Well, I kind of thought I had surpassed all that in my awakening journey. Oh, no, it doesn't matter how far we go down the road in the awakening journey. The human still pops in and does that thing. So the human was doing that thing to me of, okay, we have to really make 2.5 days worthwhile, and we have to learn the thing. What is it we're learning? And I kind of knew it was critical because I have been finding myself in a very knotted up state. I haven't been doing my meditation like I'm supposed to, and I haven't been doing my, being very balanced in my own life with things that I want to do. I have focused very much fully on, I guess I would just say, helping others grow themselves, which is fantastic and I love it, right? But again, you got to balance that with yourself. So I was not taking the time needed. So I thought, well, let's just throw ourselves into a full blown silent retreat. So when I went there, it was absolutely magical because my higher self took over. And one of the biggest things that I noticed when I went there was how quickly I just shifted. And I think that's a testament to the awakening. How, as we have been doing these practices, even if we fall off the boat for a bit, like I had, all of a sudden you can shift right back into it when you're in the right environment. So, setting up the right environment for yourself to be able to maneuver through the awakening journey in whatever way that makes sense for you is really important. And then the human kind of can take over and start like ignoring the signs and messages of us kind of falling off the boat with respect to our practices. I had known this, but I was ignoring it. Well, when I got to the Abbey, I literally shifted straight back into taking care of myself in peace and quiet. And the first thing is the monks at the monastery, you do not have any interaction with them other than the ones that run the guest house. And then that's just minimal. But you know what? They're super funny and they love to talk. Because they don't probably, they don't get too much. Point is they do interact with each other, but they don't interact with others. It's very much a minimalist approach to interactions with anyone else outside of their cloistered community. I checked into my room, and if you have been to college and you know what a dorm room looks like when you first move in, just think of that. It's like a dorm room, the sparsest thing you've ever seen. But that's all you need. It's really all you need. And you know what I realized was the reason for those conditions is you have no distractions. You have no, whether it be auditory, visual distractions. Like look at my room here in my office. It's full of stuff, and you don't even see most of it. Most of it's right in front of me here. And those are visual distractions. In addition to, so there were no visual distractions in my room. There's nothing. There's a bed, there's a desk, there's my shower, there's, the bathroom, and that's it. 2 windows and a lamp. That's all you need, right? So the other part of that is the auditory distractions. We cannot talk in our rooms. We can have no music. We can have nothing. It's total silence. We don't talk to each other. The other guests, there's no conversation. The only conversation is when you are off the grounds. Now, I will say there were some people that decided they'd talk in the cafeteria. We were not supposed to do that, but maybe they didn't understand, that was fine with me. But the conversation was limited to necessary kinds of things, like me locking myself out of my room one night. That's a whole nother conversation, but I met some lovely people that way. But the point is you have no distractions, 0 distractions. So when I moved in, I was like, okay, and I just shifted into gear. So I went and sat down in their library, and I spent most of my time in the library there. What I thought I would end up doing, what Carolyn's plan was for her 2 days, wasn't at all what happened. I was directed magically, as you know, the magic that happens when we let our higher self, or when our higher self just takes over. I started perusing their library. I brought like 6 books. I kind of looked at one for a couple hours and I couldn't feel it. Then I could tell. My higher self started to make me start looking at their books. Now, this is a Catholic monastery, and you can say all you want about religion, but I always look at my journey as I got a little bit of all of it going on. So I noticed most of it was Catholic material, although it was wide-ranging. I was very impressed with their little library for guests. But needless to say, I thought, oh, I guess I'm not going to read anything here. And so I sat down and I kept reading my book. Suddenly, I popped up out of my chair. My higher self, I didn't know this at the time. You don't sometimes just know that your higher self's doing this till afterwards you realize what's occurred. Took me to 2 books that were actually Far East ways of spirituality, incorporating I'll just say more the Western way of spirituality, which is more biblical. So this is a combined conversation with respect to how the interpretation of the Eastern traditions of spirituality and the Western, and combining those and interpreting them in a different way. Oh my gosh, I'm not kidding you. I knew then that that's why I was here. I knew why I was supposed to be there. Everything that I read for the next 2 days was either a validation of things I'm currently doing in my awakening journey, or, and most importantly, or a reinforcement of things I needed to do more of and where I had fallen off the bandwagon. So it was in my face, super great validation of how I understand the things I understand, the channels I've brought through, because basically I just bring through the information and I provide it. I'm not out looking for validation ever, like, is that a thing? Is that really real? Is that, I wonder sometimes, but I just offer it to all you and to my clients. So the channeled information that I bring through, that I have brought through often and regularly, and in some cases not, and a little more what I used to think was trippy information and maybe new to me. Here it was in the book. Here it was in these books that I'm reading, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is validation. Because I have to say, and everybody goes through, I think I can say everybody goes through the awakening journey and doubts themselves at times. Are you on the right path? Am I doing the things I'm supposed to be doing? Where am I in my journey? What more am I supposed to do? And that's kind of where I was. And what I realized was I was sent there to get great validation of the things I'm currently doing, the information I'm getting, but also a kind of smack in the face of, you got to get back to this, which included massive meditation like I used to do. And I regained that while I was there. I meditated my hind end off while I was there also, because I had the time. And I thought, you know what? I have the time in my personal life. I need to rebuild that back in. And then also, with respect to some of the other things that I do with respect to healing, because I do distance energy healing, there was great validation, and there was also reminders of how energetics work, because a lot of this talked about energetics as well. And I've always spoken of healing in an energetic fashion, but it's also the acceptance of the recipient of that healing energy, as well as the belief system of both parties. And so it was so beautiful to see that. But the point in this is I went, and everything I thought I was going to do didn't happen at all. And I never in a million years would have expected what occurred. And the whole way this happened is because I had zero distractions. And if you want to be in the now moment, I'm not kidding you. It just happens. You're in a silent retreat. You don't have distractions. You don't have TV. You don't have media. You're not using your technology. There's not places to use technology other than in one place. Okay? Now, I don't know how the other monasteries work. If you, in fact, are someone who lives with someone else or other family members, if you're used to a lot of technology distraction, if you're busy, 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 busy all the time, there will probably be a culture shock for you rolling into a monastery. What I would say to you is, if I had to do it over again, I'd stay 3 nights. You will probably find some level of discomfort, but you have to breathe and let yourself, higher self, take over. The silence is magnificent. Now, I live alone and I have silence most of the time. I was able to roll right into being in a silent retreat. The nighttime is completely quiet. There's nothing. You would never know anyone else was in the building. Now, I did notice that on the second night, I started to get a little, wasn't anxious, but okay, the word is freedom. So the monks, they've chosen this for their life, their full life. Like one said, I know what I'm going to be doing 50 years from now, every single day. They do the same thing every single day. They have 6 prayers every day. And I started to get this sense, because I attended all the prayers, which for me was really special and powerfully spiritual. Forget that it's Catholic. I mean, a lot of us get wrapped up in, oh, that's a religion, and you know what? You take the spirituality for what it is. You take the nuggets that you get and take it as time to just relax in. I didn't know what they were doing the Psalms, and they would sing, and it was absolutely beautiful. Every, six of the prayers. And I participated by being there, and just sitting in that peace and quiet. And remember all the energies from all the people that have ever been there, that have come in silent peace to reclaim a peace in themselves, to find themselves, to let their sorrows go. All that beautiful energy is there. And that's why the place is completely magical. And I think you'll find that in many monasteries. But I will tell you, New Mellery is known as a place that is very, very special. Needless to say, I started feeling, and this was part of the journey, a lack of freedom. Like, almost like I was going to suffocate thinking about their journey. It wasn't mine while I was there. It was thinking about what they had decided to commit to for their life journey. And it made me really deeply consider what everybody else's journey, all of our own individual choices that we make, and why. And started thinking about people's past lives, and reasons they may have chosen to come into, for example, be a monk, or what may have occurred with their higher self that they didn't even know about that led them to that, to led them to commit to a lifetime of silence and work ethic and prayer, and not a lot of contact, well, extremely minimal with the outside world. Um, so while I was humbled by them, as well as I really kind of revering and respecting what they've taken on for themselves and that it's their journey, I also felt some level of discomfort. I remember sitting in one of the prayers after I'd been there for a full night and had been to like five of them. And I just remember thinking over and over again what I would feel like I was missing in my own life, which made me grateful for my life and the choices that I've made. Not saying their journey isn't appropriate for them. It's not appropriate for me, but it's beautiful for 2.5 days. And I can guarantee you I'll be going back. It affords you opportunities also to take the time in between prayers, because they get up at 2 in the morning and their first prayer is at 3:30. I did not join them for that. The next one's at 6:30, 9:45, 11:45, 1:45, 5:30, and 7:30. And so in between, what I did was I did a lot of reading with the books that I told you about that was bringing me my signs and messages, and I did a lot of meditating. I also took a lot of walks. Oh my gosh, I always tell myself I don't have enough time for walks when I'm at home. Well, they have these beautiful forested areas and across the street. I'm going to show those to you here in a second. And they're just little video clips I took, and I hope you can hear them. I'm not really used to taking other videos and uploading them on YouTube, so I had to be quiet in one of them too, a bit. So I hope you enjoy them. I highly recommend that as you start feeling the need for greater peace and inner awareness and reclaiming or rediscovering some of that within you, that you look at a silent retreat. And I'm going to tell you, a monastery is the best place to go. There's magic there. I have never in a million years thought I would feel the way I felt coming home. I feel that something shifted for me there. I can't tell you what it was, but you know how that is. Magic happens when we go to places our higher self wants us to go to. So lean into it. If you feel the desire to do it and it feels super out of your comfort zone, just do it. Just do it. Your higher self will lead you there, and there's a purpose for it. Definitely a purpose. So I will tell you now that since I've come home, which was just yesterday, I have meditated 3 times for probably 20 minutes a piece, I'm getting up to my half hour 3 times a day again, and not taking time for myself like I know I should. So this is helping me reclaim my balance, and also making me appreciate quiet and silence, and appreciate other people's journeys where you would probably never even consider taking their journey, but the great respect that you can have for the lifestyle that they've chosen. So I'm going to show you the clips now. I'll join you at the end here real quickly. I hope you enjoy these, and I hope you can hear me too. Here we go. So I want to try to give you a sense of where I am. I'm kind of out in the middle of Iowa, and this is part of the abbey, the monastery that I'm staying at. This is across the street, this cemetery, and then they have a church from the 1800s. And basically, And then I'm going to shoot you over to the Abbey here in a second, and hopefully have enough juice in my phone to take you to the inside of the monastery. Actual, I guess you would call it cathedral as such, from 1850. And I just can't say enough about these last 2 days. I never thought in a million years I would have 2 days change things for me. And so anyway, this is part of this. And then of course you see the standard Iowa cornfield. All right, I'm gonna take my walk and then I'll touch base with you here shortly. Okay, this is the monastery I was at. Working Monastery, New Mellery Abbey in Peosta, Iowa. Oh yes, it is the most amazing place. And so inclusive. And there's beautiful woods to walk in. I highly recommend this to you. I think I've said that 10,000 times. If you can find a monastery that offers private retreats, and you will find peace that you can't imagine, and not to mention sparse conditions. If that's what you want. You want to be distracted by all the things we are distracted by every single day in our human life. Okay, this is the Abbey I want you to see, or actually the cathedral. 1850, roughly. It's incredible. I'm an architecture freak, so I really appreciate this. I just wanted to show you this. This is where they have their prayers. Again, this is a working monastery and offers silent retreats to anyone, meaning those of us who are awakening would still fit in beautifully. Anyway, I highly recommend a silent retreat. Monasteries are a perfect place to do this. Anyway, I just wanted to share this beauty with you. Okay, so that just shows you a little of the Iowa countryside, a little of the Trappist New Mellery Abbey that I went to in Peosta, Iowa. Anybody can come. Anybody can come. It's super inexpensive, and it just took me, obviously, since I'm in Iowa, an hour and a half drive. But, check it out. You may have some places around you where you could go for a retreat just for a weekend, or you might want to go longer. So there you go. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I know it's a little out of the orthodox, but I really wanted to share my experience with you because I do feel that something has shifted and changed in me, and I intend on keeping it as a part of me. And, when we start getting out of the sync of things after, say, a retreat like this, I could just transport myself back there in my mind's eye, because now you have those memories of having been there. So again, as I will always say, thank you so much for joining me, and I remind you of my services in purplerainhealing.com. Go check them out. If you'd like to work with me, I channel in everything that I do for you with your spirit team, your angels, and your guides, whether it be channeled messages, distance energy healing, or spiritual awakening mentoring, where I help you during your awakening journey, continue to move forward in all you do. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.